Hello, guys. Welcome to episode 3 of The Howl, and I am your host for this episode, Nicholas Barber. And today I am joined with a husband and wife tandem based in Los Angeles, California, a Filipino relationship coach and co hosts of the Stories After Swipe Right podcast. Please welcome Alex and Em Pedron.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey,
Great,
Nick.
great to finally have you guys on the show.
Yes, we're so excited, actually.
We have been looking forward to it for a long time. Great to be on the Howl.
Witty name, right? Witty
Yeah, I
name.
was like, are we gonna howl?
I was thinking that
We
as
should
well.
practice our
We
howl.
could definitely howl.
You guys actually messaged. Like, what are we going to talk about? Do
Yeah.
we need to howl? I'm like, no.
What are we howling about?
We should definitely howl.
So, guys, funny story. Alex and Em, actually, we just met a little over a year ago. No, coming on
June.
to a year. Coming
Yeah.
on to a year now here in
Yeah.
LA. They're actually my neighbors here in the wonderful Glendale, California.
Represent.
Yes.
G-Dale represent.
G-Dale.
Dale. So, Alex and Em have also been featured in GMA. And if you didn't hear from last time, are actually relationship coaches as well as hosts in dating scenes here in Los Angeles, California. Alex and Em, give a little background on what it is you do to the audience today.
Yeah, so first of all, we are married and husband and wife tandem, just like what you said. We are relationship coaches as certified by the Gottman Institute, and we run like a relationship coaching platform where we have clients who come to us for their dating and relationship problems. So for any listeners of the Howl, okay, if you have Valentine's Day is coming up, okay, just to let you know.
Mhm.
And yeah, we have a podcast called Stories After Swipe Right, and we have started that podcast in 2020, I think, and it's just all about dating and relationship.
Absolutely. So what really highlights our podcast and why we do what we do is because Em and I, before we got married, we met on a dating app, Okay
Yes.
Cupid, to be particular, and it was really Em's idea to to kind of like hop on a podcast. It wasn't actually a podcast in the beginning. Em just kind of like switched on her phone and then recorded the two of us talking. So I work as a public speaker. Em works as a corporate trainer. So we're used to speaking in front of people, and we noticed like, hey, we sound freaking good on the mic together. And Em was like, okay, why don't we start a podcast?
Yeah.
And yeah, the rest is pretty much history
Yeah.
from there.
When we were just getting to know each other, I've always had this dream to start a podcast. My idol is like Joy Spring. I don't know if you know Joy Spring, but she's one of the top podcast hosts in the Philippines, and she's really great. And when we were just getting to know each other, Alex and I, we would talk on the phone for like 5 hours, 4 hours, because it was COVID. So it
Yes.
was hard to go out and meet each other. So we would talk on the phone, and I'm like, "Uy, sexy voice, puede." And so I suggested, I was like, hey, you know what? I actually wanted to do a podcast. Did you want to jump in on that project with me? And yeah,
And I jumped in.
we jumped in.
And in the short time I've known you guys, and this is something I'd say is a great compliment. So take it however you want it. You guys actually seem like a very healthy couple.
Thank you so much.
No, I appreciate it. We work hard. We work hard for that. We
Yeah,
really work hard.
And that's the key
yeah,
word right there, right? Work.
yeah, of
Work hard for it.
course.
Absolutely.
hmm I mean, also because again, we do relationship coaching, so there is really science to how you make a relationship work, not just chemistry and compatibility. It's really work. And so we also try to apply that in our own lives. And yeah, so I guess it's what's that? It's our brand. It's our relationship is our brand.
No, I absolutely agree with that because when Em and I were first conceptualizing the show together, we initially decided to not talk about the dating game and relationships through the lens of its horror stories.
Yeah.
Because that's what you get a lot of. You go on hop on Spotify right now, key in relationships and dating. You'll see a lot of horror stories that come from it.
Like
So instead,
bad
what we
first
want to
dates,
do
serial killers. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
exactly
Tinder
crazy
swindler.
stuff.
Tinder swindler.
Shout out
So
Netflix.
shout out Netflix. And so we wanted to talk about inspirational stories, success stories when it comes to relationships, especially when it comes to finding each other in online dating, which is exactly what we did. And so we're completely comfortable with that being our brand because some way I feel like it holds us accountable
Yes.
as well. Like not only are we working towards making our relationship and marriage better, but all our audience is also counting on us to make it better based on what we put out there in our show.
That's so interesting because, like in certain processions of marriage and stuff, I don't think I used the right word, but the or the priest who's binding these two souls together always say you should put a third entity in your relationship, and I kind of see that in this, right? Like the accountability you guys have put on to yourselves. Like, some people probably are like, well, I don't want to be held accountable for my actions,
It is a
and
huge point, and let's just talk about that quickly. That elephant in the room, that the third entity we should be, I guess, putting our centering our relationship around it is God,
yeah,
right? And so Em and I had talked about that as well. Well before we got into a relationship, didn't we? What religious beliefs did we have and all that stuff?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, so we have pretty similar religious beliefs, both being born Roman Catholic, not totally the traditional ones who hardcore practice
yeah.
like a Roman Catholic, but uh, for me, my thing with God is that it's just my relationship
Mhm.
with God,
Yeah.
and with you, it's
Yeah, I mean, if I've always grown up to be, you know, to have that personal relationship as well. So I guess it's just natural for us to
Yeah.
have that, certain level of spirituality
Yeah.
with our relationship as
And it
well.
just makes it stronger as well. It strengthens the
Yeah,
bond.
for
Yeah.
sure, for sure.
yeah, and my main point in bringing that there is that the relationship that that Em and I have with God, it's not something that we would consider as an additional entity to
Okay. Okay.
center our relationship around. You know what I mean?
I think
Yeah.
it's like within, and then so it radiates in the relationship. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
That makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
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 I have a question for you guys. Like given how you guys talk about relationships, is there hesitancy to approach coaches or people who are talking about like the platform you guys have? Like have we developed into that like mentality as a people? Like just in general, human beings as a people.
Sometimes, of course, it will always be there, but our our confidence comes from having lived what we're preaching. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we talk about healthier online dating, how do you survive online dating, and then how do you make the relationship work? How do you carry yourself in a relationship with dignity, with grace, and all of that? And we have lived that. Like before I met Alex, I was a serial online swiper. I've been, I've met a lot of men in the dating apps. I've grown in that sphere. And so when I met Alex and when we, got together, I really felt equipped because I've learned so much in my experience. I've I've say fulfilled my single life in a sense. And so I feel like a lot of the things that we talk about or we teach our clients come from that experience, as well as, like I mentioned, we are certified with the Gottman Institute. And if for those who are not familiar, Dr. John Gottman, he's a founder of Gottman Institute, and he wrote several books. So he's a really really great
He studied the
resource person
science of it
about
and
religion.
yeah.
Indeed, that's actually why we chose, that certification because he's very science based. All his approaches came from like 20 plus years of research. And during like our training, he would show clips of couples, he would observe them, etc. So, yeah, hesitation there still, but I feel like our confidence run deep. I
I
feel like.
I feel like so I definitely don't hesitate if I were gonna approach another I was gonna approach another coach or say relationship coach in that field. Because like what M said, we're very we're set in our experience and we are
Yeah.
completely confident with the experience that we have, having both been in dating game for
Hmm.
quite a long time before having to finally meet each other. I believe I've been with must have been 109
Grabe.
something dates probably before I got into a relationship with you. That stuff I just didn't learn from the book.
Yeah.
You know, it's very practical knowledge and experience that we have curated in such a way through our skills being coaches and trainers ourselves where it's easily digestible
Mhm.
with people, you know, whenever we teach them or coach them.
Standing in the shoes that I am now, I see this. I see the value. I see so much value in what you guys do because I don't think there's a lot of healthy conversation about relationships out there, and
For
just me
sure.
being honest. And this will seep into the little next segment of the show is like when I was younger, I wouldn't have searched it, because I thought I knew everything. I thought,
Hmm.
like, oh, I know how to handle relationships. Like I got this. I don't need somebody else who doesn't, know what I'm going through. But for all the younger people out there, heed some wisdom, like
Yeah,
avoid
definitely.
the stumblings that the people who came before you experience. So this little icebreaker game we like to play on the show is we're gonna play try it on me. So I'm not
Oh,
gonna base it off of me right now, but I'm gonna base it off of the me before. So I'm gonna approach you guys and I'm gonna be like, hey Alex, M, I loved your podcast. Can
uh-huh.
you help me out?
Oh, I love that. Okay.
Yeah, so the conversation begins with me reaching out to you guys on your DMs, on your email, website, and asking for help. How does that process look like?
Okay. So for example, it's usually we get on Messenger, like
Yeah.
our most of our contacts reach out on our Facebook pages or Instagram pages. Um, First and foremost, we acknowledge and thank them for reaching out because there are a lot of coaches out there that they could potentially go to, and they chose us. And then after that, we definitely kind of ask a little bit about the query or the situation. But definitely we direct them to booking a free session for us. Okay. So the reason we give out that free session is because we want to first assess if this person is needs our help actually, like if it's a good match in terms of coach and coachee, because it's not, we don't want somebody who maybe needs deeper help, let's say therapy level, because they're in a domestic violent situation. So that's not within our realm. So we do have that free session, and we talk about really where they're at, kind of describing how the query is. I mean, what the situation is, if they have what are their top challenges. Sometimes clients come to us on a specific scenario, like for example, I'm dating this guy, is giving me mixed signals, and I want to
Mm.
give up and
So
whatever.
communication, like that's
Yes,
okay.
yes,
So let's
communication, and
go.
then sometimes it's
Let's try
it's just
it.
more generic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
sure.
do the little sample. Like, okay, let's say it's a phone call. Let's say I call you guys up. Ring, ring.
Yes, hello.
This is
Hi.
stories after swipe right.
Hi guys, hi Alex, hi Em. My name's Nicholas Barber, and I'm a longtime viewer of you guys, and I'm calling, after the eighth episode. I think I actually need help with a relationship. How do we proceed?
Well, you called the right people, Nick. We're so happy that you want to open up with us when it comes to anything you might be experiencing with your relationship right now. Usually, what we do is we want to get into what we call into a Zoom meeting so that we could see each other's faces, kind of help each other trust some more, and then you could just open up to us. And before we do, want to let you know that when we do enter the Zoom space, that'll sort of be like a coaching session, but we don't charge for that. And it's a completely safe space.
Mhm.
Meaning to say, we don't share whatever we talk about during the call. We don't post it on social media, anything whatsoever. We really just want to be there for you. Sounds good?
It sounds good, man. Okay, let me get back to you guys on that one.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your time. So clink, and it takes how much time, right? Like you gotta get over yourself, and you gotta gain the courage to actually do the work. Or I don't know. That's how I would do it, before. So let's say a week passes by, or 4 days. Being optimistic. 4 days. We set up the Zoom meeting. Bam! I am here in front of you. Hi guys. Thank you again for having me.
What's up, Nick?
Hi, Nick.
Thanks for dropping
Welcome.
by.
Yes.
Hi, Alex. Hi, Em. No, thank you for having me. It took me so sorry for the time. It's just been like I've been gathering my thoughts about this relationship I'm in. And I think now's the time to actually, you know, talk to you guys because you guys have
Okay.
resonated with me so much. So,
Sure.
Perfect. So, what did you want to work on this session? How can we maximize this session for you? Any particular story or that you'd like to share or challenge that you have with your relationship?
I feel like my partner, right? Me and my partner are going through a series of miscommunications. Like I'm saying one thing, but she's not understanding me, and she's saying something, and I think I understand her, and we just end up arguing the whole day.
Interesting. Okay. Do you mind telling me, like, giving me an example of how the conversation usually goes?
The conversation usually goes like when I ask her how her day's going, and she opens up to me, and I'm there. I'm hearing her out, but then it goes on, and then when I'm sharing something, she gets upset at me because it's not my turn. So I don't know when the right time is. How do I
Mhm.
communicate that I don't know, I don't want to call it attention, but my feelings matter too, I think, and I'm feeling like it doesn't matter in this current moment.
Okay. So, have you done anything that would bring this up to her attention? Have you expressed any of this to her in any sort of way?
Probably not the best way. Like I bring it up like, "Hey, I need some time too. I need, like my feelings matter. We can't always be talking about yours because then it only becomes about you. So how would you say I communicate that better?"
How did she receive that when you told her that?
She felt that I was being very dismissive and very like not caring about what she's going through. So what would be the step I would need to take there? Like do I need to like not open up or
Well, definitely not the not opening up because communication, when you stonewall, we call that stonewalling. It's one of the four, we call it for horsemen of apocalypse. It's like the signs that your relationship has serious problems. So definitely not stonewalling because when you stonewall, when you block off that communication line, that's when the relationship starts to deteriorate. So the best thing to do is to really just express how you feel to her in a way that is not criticizing or not attacking her. Okay, so maybe you can ask questions when you approach it. Maybe you can say, um, "I I was actually wanting to share something to you. Do you have the heart space and mental space for it right now?" So you deliberately open that kind of communication door because, our partners can't read our minds. If we don't feel good about the communication, we have to let them know, or we have to kind of explicitly ask them that, hey, I need this space to be heard right now. So you can ask them, do you have the heart and mental space right now to listen to what I would like to share? And more often than not, they would say yes, right? And if they don't, then you can, probe some more. What's been going on? I feel like lately I've been not being, we're not as connected because I can't share some of the thoughts that I have with you and whatnot, and then kind of go from there. Because if you inquire on what's going on with her and not assuming that this person just doesn't want to give me attention, or my partner just doesn't care enough about me, right? So come from that place where you're inquiring. Maybe there's something going on. Maybe she's stressed out. Maybe she's spacing out because she has so much going on with work or her life and stuff like that. Yeah, so that's kind of what I would recommend first. Do you have anything?
Yeah, definitely. So I really like what you said about getting that consent first. Do you have the heart space first, or the mind space for it? I think that's super, super important. Not only to just ask your significant others, but to ask your friends, your family members, asking for that consent before you drop any news. Really, it's really good for someone's well being.
Yeah.
And what I wanted to build off what M said uh, is, especially, I assume the character you're playing is a guy character, right? It's so important to be very, I want to say very, but as eloquent as you can be with your emotions.
Yes.
So, for example, if your significant other is not listening to what you have to say or any of your feelings in that from that matter, and your significant other at that point only cares about their feelings, it makes it difficult for you as the guy to really express, because that is normal for all of us guys. Basically, we're just bottling up a lot of our feelings. Sometimes we have to be very, I wouldn't want to use confrontational, but very assertive when it comes to expressing these emotions, letting others know that, hey, I've got a few feelings boiling up from under here. Really don't want it to explode. If we can have like a minute to just talk about it. We'll talk about yours for the next 5 minutes, but if we can talk about mine for just quickly 1 minute, promise you it'll help out a lot. Here's why.
Yeah.
Then naming those feelings down. For example, it's making me feel a little bit sad, or feel a little bit needy for attention,
Mm-hmm.
when we're always talking about your day or your feelings. Like don't get me wrong, I love that. But then in excess, if we're just talking or having a conversation like that, one sided, it's difficult for me to help me, kind of like process or let go of any feelings that I had throughout the day.
Yeah.
So I think as a guy, if you include feelings, thoughts, emotions, and expressing that in your vocabulary, being very vocal about it, your significant other will totally
Yes.
understand.
Yes. There's just like to add, there's actually a framework that I follow with, my clients when the difficulty is kind of being heard and talking, and to not have it turn into an argument. So the framework is called SEW, SEW. So first is you describe the sensations that you feel to your partner. Because when you bring up in a conversation, it should not be arguable. Meaning, if you say, you make me feel this, you make me feel that, then, the person can argue that, no, I don't. You decide that you feel like that because of what I do, right?
Mm.
So you describe your sensations. So, for example, um, I feel like I'm about to cry every time this happens, or I feel I can't breathe well because, of this thing. And then the E stands for emotion. So you describe your emotion. So I feel unheard and unseen, or I feel neglected, I feel abandoned, whatever, right? And then the W is, what do you want? So you communicate what what you actually want, right? So, what I would like is for me to have 5 minutes to talk about this and that, or to have that healthy conversation with you where I get to share what I think, and then kind of respond and all that. So SEW. So
Oh my god. All right. And scene, guys. That is what it is like reaching out to Alex and M. I don't want to disclose all their secrets, but
yeah, we'll send your invoice, okay?
I was getting charged by the minute right there. So
Just kidding.
really great advice, and I think, younger me and, even me, today's me took a lot of wisdom or, knowledge from that. I have a question for both of you guys. How important is self-love in a relationship?
Very, very important. Very, very, very
Yes.
important. For example, if simply put, if I didn't get enough sleep, I'd be a bitch at him. Freaking the entire part of the day. And sleep is obviously a form of self care for me. I hope it is a form of self care for everyone else as well. And when I'm lacking in that area of self care, hence self love, I'm just a more difficult person to deal with. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say self love, very very important part in a relationship.
I think actually it's one of the most important aspects in a relationship because you cannot pour from an empty cup. So how will you be able to love someone if you do not know how to give that love to yourself? And a lot of people kind of fall into that trap where they cling on to somebody to fill a void. Like I want a boyfriend or a partner right now because there's loneliness, or like there's a void that you want to fill. And when you do that, that's the start of being needy or clingy, toxic habits, because you always want to be with this person, always want to know where they're going. Um, Maybe you're also doubtful or jealous because, again, you're relying too much on this person for your happiness, for your, focus, alignment, or, overall joy, right? And if that is the case, if you don't give that attention to yourself, if you don't practice self-love, how do you even know how you want to be loved, right? How do you
Oh.
even know how that feeling runs deep? So I feel like, especially in, let's say, in marriage, where it's a forever kind of thing. Oh God, I hope it is. But it's if it's a forever thing, you'd really want to always make sure that you have the capacity to show up as your best self for your partner, right? And how you're going to do that? You're going to do that by showing yourself that love, making sure your needs are attended. You know what you need at that moment, and you give yourself that. If you need space, that healthy space, go ahead and have that. If you need to connect with, let's say, your world outside of your relationship, go ahead and do that, especially if it's going to replenish that love tank, because again, you cannot pour from an empty cup.
This is why we don't believe in if you can't have me at my worst, you
Oh
can't have me at my best.
God, no.
So like my question there is why would you even put your partner in a
Yes.
position where your partner is experiencing your worst?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
There would be, I mean, obviously there are lots of ways you could be, you could find yourself in a position where you're at your worst, but one of them definitely would suck if you found yourself at your worst because you were lacking self-care. You were lacking
And
self-love.
then that's only something you can give yourself, right?
Right. Which
Exactly.
is fully in your control.
I have a can I share a favorite quote of from your
Shoot.
show? Because I like writing quotes down. Like if somebody even just says it, in public or in TV or whatever, I kind of have a notebook or a Google Note since we're in the 21st century. But the quote is, and everyone listening, I want you to hear this, okay? If you need to hit screen record, this is brilliant. Self love isn't hard. You just aren't used to it.
Oh
Mm.
yeah, remember that. Yes.
Di mahirap, di ka lang sanay.
Di ka lang sanay. Yeah,
Right.
you're just not
In
used to it.
Tagalog,
Yeah,
Yeah.
ladies. Yep.
And
totally.
that is gold right there. That is a gem right there. Because I don't think, like naturally a lot of people are taught to love themselves. It's always external, like, oh, I gotta be here for somebody. I gotta be here for what about me? Who's here for me? And then when it's your turn to be like, hey, I wanna be loved, then it comes off of like what we were saying. So
Yeah, it's a weird feeling, when you're ready to help yourself, it feels uncomfortable, but it's simply because you're not used to it.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And something else I want to quickly bring up is I feel like self-love and too much of it can be a double-edged sword when it comes to relationships. For example, I'm going to specifically use is okay, I love myself so much. I am Miss or Mr. Independent.
Yes.
I don't need anybody to take care of me. Obviously, that is some bullshit. You know what I mean? You're in a relationship. You're taking care of each other. It's not like I'm taking care of everything. I can handle everything. Or what's worse is when you're not even in that relationship phase yet and you're over here like Miss Independent or Mr. Independent. No man or woman can hurt me. I don't need you
No
guys.
tolerance for bullshit.
So
It's like
yeah,
it's kind of like when people say like I'm gonna treat you like a queen, but isn't it the queen's job to also provide, take care,
Exactly.
house and
Yeah.
stuff like that? So
right. It's
50-50,
just
I
that I
think,
feel like
right?
yeah, and I feel like if you're gonna, for example, take on the Mr. or Miss Independent stance, I feel like you're closing yourself off from a lot of things that dating, relationships, and love can really give you, and that you can really experience as well with your significant other. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, for sure. That they say that ultra independence is also a trauma response because you don't want people to, come too close and see your vulnerability. So that is also obviously not a good thing. And this is something that I've just experienced with, a friend of mine. Um, Sometimes we feel like it always needs to be perfect because any form of quote unquote disrespect is against your self love and all of that. But relationships are meant to have that safe space for mistakes and forgiveness. You know, it's not against your self love or self respect or whatever to really look at your partner or your that relationship and see um is it something that you can mend or something that you can repair, because sometimes with that ultra independence, for example, if the person you're dating did not respond to your text overnight, be like, oh my gosh, no, you can't do that to me. I'm gonna
How
stop
dare
seeing you
you?
now. Can't do that to me. I'm a catch. Can't. That's also obviously not healthy.
You know what is a very sexy, very healthy form of independence, though, whether you're dating in a relationship or married. And I'm gonna start this off with a little story. So when Em and I were first dating, we were, like you said earlier, we were on the phone a couple hours at a time, swipe right at each other on OkCupid, and just talked and talked and talked. And as I got to know Em more, I realized how whole she was, how complete she was
Oh,
as a person, and I feel like, well, based on what she said, one of the best compliments I had ever shared with her was that I once told her, you're one of the most whole people that I've ever met. Like that, all the self-love and self-care was there and focus on putting you back together so that you could show up the best you, whole as you could possibly be for that person. And I gotta say, Em showed up. She was 120% for me, man. She was whole, and that was completely flattering.
yeah, that
Oh,
was the best compliment of my life, considering everything that I've been through with my relationships in the past, how broken I felt.
It was just so sexy to me, man. no skeletons in the closet, no drama, no issues, knows how to deal with drama and issues, and just is her own woman. To
Yeah.
me, that's the type of independence that the sexiest. If you could just, if you're whole and you know how to hold yourself together, that's just fucking sexy.
And that's like being accountable for yourself too. You know, you're being accountable for your well-being, your energy, and your love. And thank you guys for that. For more information, follow them at storiesafterswiperight.com.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And we'll move on to the next segment right here. Given that you guys were originally in the Philippines 2 years
Mhm.
ago, like 3 years ago.
I think it's just a year-ish ago, a year and a half ago.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah,
And in that year and a half, changes, so much has
for
changed in your
sure.
life.
Oh yeah.
What would you say were the biggest changes you guys have ever gone through or had to go through in that year and
I
a half?
wash my hair every day now.
It's so dry. Oh my god.
Yeah,
In the Philippines, I wash my hair all the time. In the US, no.
there were a few hygiene changes that made it difficult for both of us.
Oh, man, seriously.
um, definitely there were some changes, man. So when we arrived here, yes, a year and a half ago, we actually were not married yet
Yeah,
when we
we
arrived here.
got married here.
So we got married here, Las Vegas. Too bad Elvis didn't marry us, but we did get married in Las Vegas. It was a blast. It was unforgettable, which is crazy based on all the drinks that we had. But I feel like what really changed our relationship is the freedom that we had. Because when we got in a relationship in the Philippines, it was in the middle of
Oh
COVID.
yeah.
And I don't know if folks here really know, but there was curfew in the Philippines. You could not go out most of the time. There were times where 2 months straight, Em and I were just at home, which is crazy. I don't know why she hasn't left my ass yet. 2 months straight at home. So being here, just all the freedom to go out to do whatever
Yeah.
really changed the culture of our relationship. Like if you remember, Nick, when that recent Batman that came out, the detective type Batman thing
Yeah,
going
the
on there,
Batman. Yeah.
yeah, the Batman, that was the first time Em and I watched a movie in a movie house together
Yeah. In Glendale.
after being married.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we've been together at that time, what, like 2.5 years already?
Yeah.
So our relationship is kind of progressing backwards. Does that make sense?
Yeah. After you guys moved here, I want to share to the viewers actually what this wonderful couple has actually done as well here in LA.
Oh
Em and
man.
Alex have actually starred in our feature film Tahanan, which is currently going through some festival runs in LA, India actually this month, and possibly New York City in the next couple of months. Fingers crossed.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah, and
Great movie.
I originally approached Alex and M to be part of the background in the despedida scene in the Philippines. A despedida is like, a Filipino going away party. And it was a crucial part for our main character, Jerome, in the film because he's an immigrant who is going to America. So he wanted all his friends in one place. Funny, well, not funny, this was being shot in COVID, but tragic thing happened. Two our actors actually lost their got COVID and they couldn't make the film because you can't infect people. That's not a cool thing to do. So I think a day before I approached Alex and I was
Yeah.
like,
Was it a
Al-
day before?
I think it was a day or 2 days before, and I was like, Alex, I know this is short notice and I hate to do this to you, man, but are you willing to step up to a speaking role for this film? And you're like, I'm down, but are you sure? And I was like, yeah, man. Like, you can speak the language, and I feel like, you can empathize with the characters. And I was like, pick a script, left and right, and you pick Jeko, one of his best friends in the Philippines, and Alex nailed it. Alex Pedron absolutely nailed it.
Me.
Mismo.
Baseball.
And one of a lot of people's favorite scenes actually is a phone call that it was, well, I'll give you a quick rundown on what the scene was written for. It's because, when people immigrate to another land and so much time passes by, so much things are happening with their friends and family back home and in their, current land where they're living, the conversations back there becomes like, oh, you're working so hard, you're earning so much money, but they don't really understand the gravity of the situation of how much work you actually need to do in the country.
Sure.
So
Mhm.
we put that into a scene, and then M, stepped up as well because Joshua Kermit was in the Philippines, funny enough, and she took the script and she rolled with it, and a lot of people actually love that scene. So when the film comes out, guys, support Alex and M. Great job, great addition to the film.
Mismo.
Mismo.
Thank you. No, thank you for that opportunity. It's such a like I said earlier, it's like my marriage is progressing in reverse with my wife. Just haven't been able to do this. This usually star in a film with her,
Well, I don't
act
think
with
that's really
her.
a normal thing that couples go through. Hey, babe,
Yeah,
let's
it's
let's
Huge.
start a film.
unique thing
Yeah.
for
Is it
us.
really?
Yeah, of course.
I felt like it was
Especially
unique.
when the couples have a film together, you know?
You're right. You're right. Thank you for the opportunity.
Uh,
Yeah, it was huge.
Yeah,
No.
thank you for the opportunity. It's been an honor working with everybody in the team because, everybody's very nice. And obviously, me and Alex, we don't really have like a solid acting background that's, on a professional level. But thank you for letting us be part of the project. And I'm very, very excited for everyone to see the film.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome, and you know how much the team loves you. You've been around, and it's just all love. I
Thank you.
love the team too, and I can't. I can't contain it a lot. Like you guys know this, I just keep talking about it. Even like when we were like during filming, I'm like, oh my god,
Yeah.
For sure.
can this just be released? So almost there, maybe a year. I don't know. Let's see. Hopefully, gets picked up. But I want to thank you guys again for this wonderful time of stepping into this podcast, The Howl. There was a lot that we discussed that I think is very valuable for, people of all ages, really. Like just being in touch with yourself and with your partner and understanding the ability that we all have to grow as an individual, as a couple. Any final thoughts or, words of advice to our viewers out there?
Ooh.
I like this part. I always like the final
Yeah.
thoughts part.
You go first. I'm gonna think.
Just trying to
pause and think a
sum
little bit.
everything up out of the conversation. I mean, if I want anyone to walk away from this conversation with one thing, it's just focus on more on that self care. Now, if you've been listening all throughout, self care not only obviously benefits you, but it benefits everyone else around you, especially the people that you're in a relationship with, your family, friends, your significant other, especially will benefit from you just taking care of yourself. And if you're a guy, some of these relationship issues, make sure to include feelings, emotions, and well-being into your vocabulary and learn to be eloquent with these things because they will benefit you so much in your relationships as well.
Oh my gosh, how do you follow that?
Yeah, let me go first.
Yeah, so I think that what I can give to your listeners as a parting gift, well, parting gift is that thought of when the dating world is a mix of chaos and fun and heartbreaks and pure bliss. And you just have to open your heart to the whole experience. You cannot be selective of what you're going to experience when you're growing in your love life, so to speak, right? You'll probably date a lot of wrong people before you find the right person. Lucky for you if you found the right person right away, but more often than not, you get to explore these people that are just there to kind of allow you to grow. So with that comes the clarity. When you know what you don't want in a relationship, you know what you do want, right? So you grow in that aspect. So it's important to always keep that open mind, open heart, take care of yourself, and really trust that you know what will make you happy. Sometimes it doesn't make sense to the world. Sometimes it doesn't make sense to your, close friends and relatives and whatnot. But trust that you know what will make you happy, and take that opportunity to grow as a lover, as a partner, really w- because like when I met Alex, the word that I use is equipped. I feel equipped to love him
Oh,
because I have taken the time to understand my capacity to love, to understand my style of loving, the way that I forgive or apologize, these things. And if keep that in mind, that it's not always about finding the right person, it's also about being the right person. If you have
wow.
a picture of an ideal partner in your head, ask yourself, is this person looking for someone like you? Right? And if
Wow.
not, there's still room to grow before you met that person. Yeah.
And there we go, guys. Thank you again, Alex and Em Pedron, for this wonderful talk and sharing your expertise with me and the viewers. And if anybody wants to follow and view or listen their podcast, follow them at Stories After Swipe Right on Instagram, on Facebook, and on Spotify.
That's right.
Thank you.
Who
Boo you!
Thank you, everyone. And this has been another great episode of The How. I am your host, Nicholas Barber, and we will see you on the next episode.